Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Honest to Pod with me, Ashley McAllister.
And me, Matthew Ali.
And this is episode 63.
Yay! First off, I just wanted to address something really important, okay? And before we started, I had my sip of water. But if you listened, I didn't listen to last week's episode. Okay,
Until right now.
Until just now, because, you know, I'm a busy guy. We're recording a day earlier just because of something I'm doing tomorrow. And at the beginning of the episodes last week, or on Thursday, well, yeah, today's Saturday, that was not me drinking, okay? That was
You're telling me you didn't have a drink of water?
I had a drink of water, but it didn't make that horrible sound, and I most certainly didn't go... Okay? I actually added that. That wasn't me. It was funny. It wasn't me.
It was funny.
I do like water.
We just literally listened to it and Matt had no idea. We had to calm ourselves down before we started recording.
The sweating. It was so funny.
Yeah, I'm not...
Like, he goes, what's it?
And then the...
Was that my bottle though?
The squeak was your bottle. Yeah.
It was like, oh god.
Sometimes I get the editing right.
That was really good.
Sometimes.
Well done.
I thought I heard somebody come in the door. It must be in the seat.
It was a ghost.
Yeah, guys, welcome to another episode. Episode 63. Matt, last night was Valentine's Day. What did you get up to?
Last night, I had fried chicken. And me and my housemate played Luigi's Mansion on the Switch.
Oh.
All evening. Yeah, like 3.5 hours.
That's good. Long.
No, it was good. It was perfect. We played lots of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like the game, but nothing that... I did have a sort of Valentine's Day date on Thursday, though.
Oh.
Which is quite sweet. And he gave me a Valentine's Day card.
Ooh.
It was funny. It said, thanks for not ghosting on the front.
Oh, that's quite funny, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. We met in Horse Meat Disco just before New Year's Day.
Which is a club.
It's a night in a club in the Eagle in Vauxhall.
Yep.
So it's the Sunday between Christmas and New Year's, and ended up coming back to mine, and then we ended up spending the whole day together.
It's like a holiday romance.
In between Christmas and... I live in London. I was here.
I know, but still.
Yeah, I guess so. And we've been seeing each other ever since, right? So I do quite like him.
Oh.
And then he was like, about a week and a bit ago, he was like, oh, I want to take us out on this Thursday, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's a surprise. And I've been thinking about it for like a week and a half, and what on earth could it be? Because I'm not great with surprises, because I can't really hide my face. Like, if I'm disappointed or something, I'd be like, you know, my ex-boyfriends used to give me like Christmas presents, and I'd be like, oh, I already have one of these, or something, you know? But it was really sweet. So we went to All-Star Lanes in Brick Lane.
Okay, yeah.
And
that's bowling, right?
That's bowling, but we didn't bowl. We did karaoke, just us two in a booth.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay. Because I don't know, I'm not massive into karaoke anyway.
Yeah.
I do like a song here and there, but I wouldn't be like going crazy for it, to be honest.
No.
It's never something I'd want to go and necessarily do.
It's also, I think, in my head, something you have to really be in the mood for.
Yeah, and I don't know. If I was doing it in a booth, I'd want a big group, so it's a bit like, you know, less exposed. You know, because it's just you singing, and the reason why is because we'll be out in like I like a little sing song. Yeah. I do have myself a little voice. You know, I do like it, and he thinks I'm a really good singer. So he's like, you know, I think you're a really good singer, so I think we should go to it. And he loves music. So we went. It was just us two. And we just sang like duets for an hour. And we did like When You Believe, like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston. We did an Adele song. We did Backstreet Boys.
Adele duet?
Well, I mean, we didn't just do duets.
Did you do Dolly Parton?
No.
Islands in the Stream?
I don't even know what that song is.
What?
How's it go?
Islands in a stream, that is what we are. No one in between.
That's a different song, is it?
No, it's a cover.
Yeah, there's loads of covers, isn't it? Well, do you know what's come up a lot this week?
It's a sample, actually, not a cover.
Yeah.
Still. Puff Daddy did it. No, not Puff Daddy.
No, it's Faith Evans. It's when Biggie Smalls died.
Yeah.
And then they sang the song.
What is it called?
Oh, no, it's not. There's a few of them.
Islands in a Stream.
No,
Ghetto
Maya.
Superstar.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dirty Old Bastards.
Yeah.
Ghetto Superstar. That is a... Yeah.
Yeah. Originally,
I love Maya.
Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers.
I don't know who Kenny Rogers is. But this came up twice, actually, and both people were wrong in the past week. So, is that the Whitney Houston song that she covered from Dolly Parton? I will always love you,
yeah.
Which one is better?
No, listen. Whitney Houston is better.
Her version is better, right?
Her version is better.
Ed's?
No. This is...
And Chris Lawton...
Well, I mean...
Both said that Dolly Parton's version is better.
Alright, that's a deal breaker. That's a deal breaker right there.
Absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, Dolly Parton's version is different, but it is not as good as Whitney.
But yeah, Whitney Houston, unbelievable. But do you know what they did not have? Because we did listen, Beyonce listened, obviously, and that was really good. That was mostly me. He said, I want you to sing this. I was like, okay. They didn't have And I'm Telling You from Dreamgirls.
Oh, such a good song.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I can hit that note as well.
The good thing about this is you can change the key, you can lower it a lot. So we were like, because the first two songs we weren't really heard. And then honestly, we were both like, you know those goats that are like,
do you know what came into my head yesterday and I could not stop? I was in the middle of a meeting and it popped in. I think this is a work meeting. You know, like the video you showed me last week of singing from the rugby club?
Oh my god!
I was
it's mad.
I was in a meeting, like a serious meeting at work, and it just came into my head, and
I'm not a stranger in the dark, on the way they say.
Oh well. Anyway,
yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
And I'm not gonna say the names, but one of my friends had asked me to send a Valentine's Day card to them to make their boyfriend jealous.
This is the most fucked up story.
Because he was like, he needs to appreciate me. All right. So I was like, okay. So I sent one on Moonpig. So I set up myself a little story, and I just told you before. So
Are you going to say it out here?
Yeah, I'll say it. I'm not going to say any names.
Oh, no, but I mean, I wonder if they listen or not.
I don't know if they do. But they'll know by then anyway. So
okay.
But it'll come out at some point for sure. Where is the card? So one of them have been away over Christmas for like a long holiday, and then the card says. So I sent a card that says
they had an open relationship, right?
During that period.
Yeah, during that period.
Miles apart, but under the same stars. And then it says, to the name, thank you so much for keeping me warm on my trip. British winters are freezing. And then it just goes, brown bear, XXX. Oh. So I also know that my friend does have a taste for the darker chocolate. No orange included, thank you very much. Yeah, and I thought that was really funny. So apparently, just as we're recording this now, they're having a big argument over it.
Honest to pod, breaking up relationships.
Yeah, you know me. My dream is to ruin a family.
Yeah, it is.
So, I'm not going to go to that. I'm not going to say anything about that.
Were you going to ask about...
No.
Oh, okay.
That was another bad story.
Oh.
How was your Valentine's Day?
My Valentine's Day was really, really good. So I started off the week actually sick. I had to take a day off work. And I watched Alien for the first time, the first one, which was good. I'm not going to lie, I thought it was really, really good. To me, there wasn't as much Alien, a bit more waiting for the alien to come.
I don't really remember it too much, but
it's a very good suspense building, but it's not like the alien's there and hunting you down, which is I loved it. I thought it was a really good film. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I really enjoyed it. And it's also nice to see these little like references that you see in pop culture, like the chest explosion and something come up. Like you see the kind of comic version in like The Simpsons or whatever you might see, but
yeah,
it's nice to see the film where it came from. So yeah, and I also watched this week. I watched probably about 5 episodes on Monday when I was off sick. But The Morning Show with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon.
Okay, and that came out a little bit ago, didn't it?
Yeah, but I didn't have Apple TV, so well, I didn't realize like. Oh, pardon me, I'm so burpy.
Same. It's the food I made.
Yeah. I'm at Matt's like and it's early on Saturday morning, and he invited me for breakfast, and I have to say, I'm going to give him 5 stars.
I gave him my after shag special. So if you stay over, in the morning, you'll get a delicious, delicious breakfast and lovely coffee.
Unreal. It was honestly, I'm going to post a picture on my Instagram, but we had eggs.
You take a picture of it?
Of course I took a picture of it.
Yes.
We had eggs. We had the best streaky crispy bacon. On my mouth's watering. We had, what else? We had like tomatoes that I thought were spicy, but they weren't spicy.
But they were slow cooked over 45 minutes with garlic and herbs.
And they broke down, they were mushy. Then we had some avocado smash.
That had chipotle chili flakes because they got a little smokiness.
And that smoke resonated at the back of the palate, I have to say. It was
an after hit because I didn't want to put too much in it so it was overly spicy. It was more like the smokiness coming through just at the back. You read it, right? I read it,
yeah. And then we had, like, they weren't hash browns, but they were like good hash browns.
They call them potato rosties.
Yeah, which is just M&S hash browns.
Yeah, they're dinner though. They're dinner hash browns. So hash brown for breakfast is hash brown. A hash brown for dinner is a rusty.
That's amazing. I didn't know this.
Yeah. Well, that's how I see it because they're the exact same thing. But if you call it a rusty, you can have it for dinner. If you have it for breakfast, you have to call it hash brown. You can't have a rusty for breakfast or a hash brown for dinner.
See, this is Matt. Matt just value bombs the whole day. Not all their value bombs. So we were chatting today about coffee, and I was like, Matt, why are you putting hot water in the coffee cup? There's no coffee in there. And he was just like, well, I mean, what did you say?
Oh, well, coffee's not supposed to go in cold cups.
Why is that?
It apparently ruins the coffee. It breaks it down. Because, you know, like, coffee's supposed to have, like, the little oil on top, the crema and stuff, and it breaks it down. It takes away the flavour. So in coffee shops, because I know, like, where I work, like, on the top of every coffee machine, it's got a warmer. So, like, ceramic cups are supposed to go on there to keep it warm. So when I used to serve and stuff, I used to, because they weren't kept there, they were hanging, I used to always put hot water in the cup before the customer so they could have it as well. Take the extra time, and it still came out really fast. And then you said you don't like warm cups. So
I don't like warm cups. I always just think, in my head, I used to think when I get coffee served or any drink served in a hot beverage, I'm like, this place is really unorganized. Because this is literally just out of the dishwasher and straight into my mouth. And
that is not true.
It's not true.
They're the professionals.
They're professional in coffee.
As opposed to what?
Oh, if you get like a cheese or a hot drink, I suppose.
Cheese and a hot drink?
Tea.
Oh. Well, it's going to be hot anyway because it's like hot water.
I don't like things too hot, you know. And I don't like things too cold.
Okay. No.
I mean, like, cool. I don't like ice cream.
Okay, I thought you meant like my tea can't be too hot and it can't be too cold.
No, I mean like, ice cream isn't my go. Okay. Do you know we went out for desserts a couple of weeks ago? All these people got nice.
My tea. Listen.
And they're like, well, there was no gluten-free desserts, and they're like, well, you can have ice cream. I'm like, I don't like ice cream.
Ice cream's so delicious.
No, I mean, I did have a whole tub of Ben & Jerry's the other day.
What flavour?
Fish food.
That's like caramel fish, is it?
It's like, yeah, caramelly, there's marshmallows, like chocolate chunks.
I've never been a big fan of marshmallows, I'll say that.
Oh, I love marshmallows.
But anyway. You don't like things too hot or too cold?
No.
I'm the same with hot food. You know how people, because I think it's old British people, they want foods to be piping hot, like boiling.
Yeah.
And I have no need for piping hot foods ever. You know, you can't have like a pie or something. You know, like, or stews and stuff, like, because you can't eat it. You know, you want it.
You want it to cool down a bit.
Yeah. I eat quite slowly anyway, so I'm used to having like lukewarm food. And my little brother, he used to he has breaks when he eats, so he'll eat a bit, not like he's full or anything, and just stop.
Yeah.
Wait 15 minutes, eat again.
So I grew up in like a military house. My granddad was in the military.
How have I never known this?
Yeah, he's in the RAF. And we used to, like, dinner was a big thing. Like, we were never allowed to eat anywhere except the kitchen table. We had to, you know, conform to certain, like, I got nervous. I used to have this real problem eating because I used to eat like this with my shoulders out. I meant my elbows out.
You're not dancing, bitch.
he used to tell me off, and I had to keep my hand. And I used to get really nervous about eating out in public. But yeah, if we ever wanted to talk, you're never allowed to talk at dinner whilst the knife and fork were in your hand.
Is that a thing? Yeah,
apparently this is why dinners take so long. Is because if you want to, like, back in the older days, like when you eat, you'd eat your food, you could cut it up, and they take small bits anyway, and like put it in your mouth, you chew. Then to talk, you put down your knife and fork, like on the side of the plate, and then you talk. You can't be like, and I said, and then blah, And I was just like, my granddad would like, don't like, oh, don't talk to your mouth full already.
Is it only meals with him, or did your mum then do this?
Mum was totally relaxed. She was like fucking stew in a pool, go eat in the living room, give my headpiece.
Would everyone else be the same when your granddad was there then?
It was my grandparents, yeah.
Okay.
No. When my mum was with my grandparents, we were all the same.
Yes.
Yeah, but whenever I stayed the nights at my mum's house, it was something else.
That's crazy.
I was allowed sugar in my tea. I was like, this is great. I wasn't allowed sugar in my tea at my grandparents' house.
I got that bit from you saying I was so excited about something so regular.
Anyway, my Valentine's night. So I came in from work. I had myself a Nando's to myself, and I watched Aliens, the sequel, which is also very good. And then my housemate and friend. I don't know what to call. What do I call? What do I call him, friend or housemate?
I say my housemate.
Yeah, that's what I say. And then sometimes people are like, I thought you and Dave were friends, and I'm like, we are. It's like, well, why are you describing as housemate? It's like, because we live together. Anyway,
you could say your friend who you live with, but that's long.
It's long, yeah. I don't have that time. This is an hour show.
Yeah. I'd say I'm friends with my housemates.
Yeah. I don't need you to define not you, but
whoever. It's anything.
I don't need you to define what I say. Yeah, so he came back, he watched the second half of Aliens with me, and it is jumpy.
I can't watch films like that. You know how I said I don't really like. I mean, it's not really a horror, but it counts as a thriller, I guess.
It's a horror.
Oh, suspense is a type of film,
suspense,
isn't it?
yeah.
It's suspense thriller or something, but
it was really good.
Jumping is not really my shucks.
Well, the thing is, this is classic. Like, modern horror films go for those really fake jump scares where they have the slow build up the music, and then all of a sudden it's like a loud noise, and it's all because somebody walks past the thing.
And you're like, yeah.
And it's cheap horror, but that's what modern horror is.
But I do like Resident Evil, which is a computer game, actually, and for that reason. So that's like the only thing. We used to play it growing up.
But that's different because you're immersed, because you are actually the character.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess that's something.
And that's what was good about. Another reason why Get Out was a brilliant film.
I fell asleep.
Well, it was a brilliant film because it didn't rely on jump horror, and it was one of the first horror films that got nominated for Academy Award, and it won best director, maybe, or
I think he did
best original screenplay, maybe.
I feel like director because Key Peele, what's his name? Jordan Peele.
Yeah,
he was director, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Anyway, and then I was sleepy because I had a couple of drinks the night before, and I keep burping that lovely food up. It's nice because I get to taste all that food again.
Oh, God, that's disgusting. Is it smoky like Chipotle?
And then what did we do? I went to bed and I always take a cup of tea to bed. And I was sitting watching something on YouTube in my bed, and I...
Tell them how you sit, though.
So I sit really awkwardly and when I'm doing this, because I like to position myself that I can lean the cup on my chest.
Flat chicken chest.
My little moobs.
That's so weird.
I don't know, I just sit like this in this air, and that means I just go like, bloop, and I get a cup of tea and I have my phone, watching something on YouTube, but I was so tired, and I only got halfway through my cup of tea before I fell asleep.
You fell asleep?
I heard it in my head. Before I
fell asleep? There was a Friends quiz at the thing that went on Thursday when we were eating.
Oh, Friends quiz?
Yeah. I feel like I do very poorly now, but I used to watch them a lot before.
Yeah. It's a good quiz. It's a good show. But anyway, I got to about 2:30 in the morning. I woke up and there was a little wet puddle by my arm, and I had fallen asleep with the tea, and it spilled over my bed and onto the floor.
If that was a cigarette, you would have died.
It would never be a cigarette. But I did think, I was like, fuck, I'm careless. What if that had been a candle left on? And
a candle in your chest.
No judgment.
Would you like to hold my hand up? But look, I've done candle wax. Everyone's done it, okay?
Okay.
And it was very painful and not for me.
Well, shall we jump into some things?
Okay.
Yeah? Cool. Right, well, so this week we're going to do something a little bit different. We have a few micro topics, but then a main topic at the end. Yeah?
At the beginning?
Do you want to do the beginning?
It kind of makes... Well, everything I'm saying kind of comes from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay, we'll do that. Okay, we'll do that. Let's do everything Matt wants to do.
Please. I can't remember what you said you wanted to talk about, to be fair.
It's not a bit... Aaron Hernandez.
No, I put the other bits.
Oh yeah. So
A little bit.
yeah. Anyway,
let's see what happens because I can't remember what you said. So I just have my bits here. What I'm saying is important. Tick, tick, tick. I've said all my bits.
So after we recorded last week, we recorded quite early last week actually on Sunday, and what we decided, did we play games last week? No, we didn't. We
just watched that.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, because it was like 3 hours worth.
Well, it was longer than that, I think. So after we finished recording last week, we said, "Oh, do you know what? We'll watch that Aaron Hernandez documentary."
And for those that couldn't understand what he said, Aaron
Hernandez. The 3-part documentary, which is on Netflix. So just as an FYI, this episode probably will contain spoilers for that documentary. But if I'm honest, it's been out for over 6 weeks, and
Is that all?
Came out around Christmas, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's also based on real life. So if you don't know your history, you should check yourself, really. Jokes.
Please listen.
Jokes. No, I just mean, it is. We live in a time where you have to be responsive, and this is responsiveness. Anyway, so we watched this documentary. So for those who don't know, Aaron Hernandez.
Can you say Aaron?
Aaron.
Yeah, well then.
Aaron Hernandez was a pro football, NFL, basketball. No, fuck. He was an NFL player, football player.
A pro-American football player.
Yeah, basketball for some reason. And he, well, I guess he became famous because he killed people.
Yeah, when he was at NFL, he was...
Well, he was famous anyway, but
yeah,
the reason why we're talking about him and this documentary is made about him was because he killed people, went to prison, and the documentary, which I guess didn't really appreciate the name of the documentary, but it's called Inside the Mind of Aaron Hernandez, and I just thought it was... in my head, we both sort of, I don't know if you were the same, but thinking it was going to be more of a, did he do it, did he not do it?
Well, we both watched... You told me about Don't Fuck With Cats.
Yeah.
And that was a whodunit, really. And and then it was like, and how did he or whatever.
Yeah, and I guess the other one I really loved...
But this one was just like, he did it.
From day one, it was like, yeah...
He done did it, y'all.
He did this. Like, you guys, he did this.
Listen, but we just don't know why.
Yeah.
And it was mostly about the whys, isn't it?
It was, inside the brain, like inside the mind of... and it was 3 parts, and I thought 3 hours, but it must have been... Like, some episodes might have been a bit longer, because it went on for time. Not in a bad way.
50 and 105 or something.
Really?
We stopped for, like, wheeze and stuff.
Oh, yeah, we did, didn't we? Jeez. And we had food. We had gluten-free fish and chips.
I had regular fish and chips. It was really good.
Yeah. But at the end of it, we came up with this... Well, at the end of it, and your housemate watched as well, some of it. And we were saying...
My friend, a housemate.
I don't know how... I don't want to put a label on your relationship.
I have no idea what to say. It needs to be something in the middle.
I know.
For housemate. Friend.
Housemate.
Friendmate.
Friend pal.
House friend?
God, we're so silly.
How we laugh.
Lolly lols. So basically the documentary in the end, and this is like, he kills himself in prison.
You're giving everything away, boy.
Well, that's what we debated about.
What?
Well, this is my argument on the debate. I felt sorry for him.
Oh, absolutely not.
Well, this is it. At the end of the documentary, when the 3 episodes are done and he's told his tale, and you find out that he's dead in prison and you know everything, I'm like, I can't help but feel sorry for him. But you and your friend pal mate house person said absolutely not. And there wasn't even like a slither of a tiny bit.
I don't feel sorry for him. I think there are a lot of like regretful moments, and we'll talk about a little bit about some of the things that I guess resonate with us. But it is terrible and absolute shame that people were killed, that he felt the need to do this, and that, the trauma in his life had led to this moment.
Mm-hmm.
But he still committed heinous crimes.
Oh, 100%. I'm not saying that I feel sorry for him to the point where I don't think he committed crimes, or also I wouldn't say I don't think he should be in prison. I just feel sorry for him that, first of all, for me, it's anyone who's on the brink of suicide or contemplating suicide automatically invokes sympathy in me, because they're at the point where they feel they can't live anymore. And life's precious. And I just think that's incredibly, incredibly sad to get to that point. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in prison. I'm saying to that point, that's where the sympathy comes from.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I say when I feel sorry for him. But I also look at the journey how he got to prison, and in my argument for it, probably the reason, or definitely didn't help, but there's certain things going on in his life that when it's in other people who have the same problem, they've also killed themselves. That being said, they didn't kill other people, which is the big thing.
I think that's the thing. Like, if you're affecting people in such a big way, and other families, and these are people that the ones that he supposedly had. Well, some were just strangers, random like acts of just like
hot temperedness.
Yeah,
yeah. So he basically in the club. He's in the club, and some guy spilled a drink on him. Isn't that right? Is that what happened?
Yeah,
yeah. And then, but 2 or 3 hours later, the guys are leaving the club. This Aaron Hernandez had already left, spent 2 hours somewhere else, then seen the guys in the car and went up and shot them in the car in cold blood. Obviously, normal seeing people don't do that.
But it's like the show had spoken a lot about all of the. I mean, it seemed like he had a particularly unique sets of circumstances growing up in terms of abuse that he'd suffered, both from his like parents, or in particular his dad.
His dad, yeah.
He had struggles with his sexuality. It appears that way, although because I was reading up about it this morning, because there are some things that were not in the documentary about him actually saying in phone calls, and it's all speculation at this point. It's all speculation because he wasn't able to come clean or clarify anything. But in the documentary, someone had said that they had a romantic relationship. A boy had said that from them being in 7th grade to 11th grade, they had a relationship, and he had multiple relationships. Apparently, he had said to his girlfriend and his mum, or his fiance, pardon me, and then wife, that he was in fact had homosexual tendencies and hated himself for it.
Did they get married?
They got married.
Oh, I didn't realise.
Did they get married?
Well, she has his name, but I always see her referred to as fiance.
The person who's in a relationship with, like,
mother of his child.
Child. Yeah. It's spoken about like the sexual abuse that he and his brother both suffered as well. So there's a lot of things that was going on, and to me, what's really important is like, and very much to the first episode of this series, like having an opportunity to open up and be honest and truthful about the things that have happened to you to help relieve the like internal struggle, I think is really, really important. And I think that's the biggest shame. When we talk about homosexuality in like sports and stuff, I think that's a prime example where you feel like you necessarily can't come out. They made a point which I thought was a bit, I don't know if obtuse is the word, but it was a bit like, okay, let me just find the only other NFL player who has no relation to Aaron Hernandez to talk about his own journey about being gay in the NFL.
Oh, the white guy.
And then relate it to him when I'm like, you can't, I don't know if that's the same.
No.
People do go through similar things, but if they don't have a relationship in terms of a sexual relationship, but like, we both went through the same thing and we both talked about it. I felt like I was able to come out. It's literally like, let's find someone who did come out once they finished playing American sports and then say that this is what Aaron Hernandez went through, when that's not actually the case.
No, I guess, I mean, now you've said that makes sense, but the way I read that at the time, he was literally there reinforcing, again, this is the way I perceived it, reinforcing the fact that whilst you are a professional football player, the pressure is on you and you can't come out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that to me was not about him connecting. It was sort of a line of evidence to suggest the fact that Aaron Hernandez was under insane pressure on top of everything else that was going on. Because the other thing as well, he grew up, his mum had this I can't even remember. His mum had that messed up relationship. Basically, the mum and dad separated, or the mum and dad died, or I can't remember.
They separated, got back together, then he died. And then the mum got with like a cousin's husband. Oh my God. Yeah.
So that broke up that family. And then Aaron, who didn't want to come downstairs and see this guy in his house every morning, moved in with his cousin, who, I mean, wrong side of the tracks. The people hanging around her house were not healthy people for a teenage boy to be growing up with. So again, it puts him in a place So on top of the sexuality, on top of the abuse from his dad, he's now living in an environment which doesn't, I guess, spurt anything better. You're not. It's not an optimistic outset.
I mean, he was a heavy drug user as well.
Yeah, of course.
So it feels like everything, despite the fact that he had this like mad drive and
incredibly talented by the thing.
Yeah. You know, sorry. All these circumstances led to obviously what happens at the end.
Yeah.
You know, him being imprisoned for what he allegedly did, one of which he was convicted for, the others he wasn't. And then killing himself, obviously. But I want to talk a little bit about sort of like the pressures, because in sports, and it's surrounding us a lot at the moment in time, actually, because today we're recording on Saturday, and it's Saturday the 15th of February, not much. February.
Yep. And
there's a rugby team in the UK called the Harlequins, Rugby Union, and today they're having a Pride Day. So one of the founders of our rugby club is going there. Oh, it actually happened already. And they have a panel to talk about LGBTQI plus and sports.
Yep.
And they have like a panel there, and then they have a special day where they're all wearing rainbow laces, and it's basically just a big celebration. Which is different. I think it's quite new to sports, potentially. You know, as in professional sports, you don't get people that are super, super open, especially men, I would say. I think there's a lot more women are able to be their true selves, or at least express themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas men aren't feeling so comfortable or forward to do so.
And I think I think if somebody was to come out, I would genuinely think the professionalism of the company that they work for would support it. It's the fans.
I think, and the team members and teammates and stuff.
Oh, the teammate, yeah, of course, I think they would support it, but I think it's fear of, or do you not think they would?
I think that is part of the pressure of feeling like, okay, my team won't support me.
Yeah. But I think they would. Like, I think today it's a whole new young generation growing up woke.
I think it's different sports though. So I think rugby is known and is showing that it's a progressive sport.
Yeah.
In a lot of different ways. Rugby union in particular.
Or football, I guess.
Football might be different. You know, the fans are very, very different. The people grew up in very different situations. You know, I think in American sports, basketball, I watch a lot of basketball. I don't really watch NFL. Basketball is and has been more progressive in many different ways according to race. The players, I won't say contracting, but like looking after players and how they treat them and giving them a voice. Whereas, because, you know, in American sports, there was a whole thing about like Colin Kaepernick bending down, taking a knee during the national anthem, right?
Yeah.
And then people are getting fines because all of the owners are white, the commissioner's white, and they're saying that you need to fall in line with what we're saying. And the other end, in the NBA, the players started doing the same thing, and then the commissioner had promoted their protest and said that he will support them in their protests following the race issues that will happen in America. And I think rugby union is a similar thing where it's more progressive, people more open-minded. Generally, I know when I came out, this is years ago, to my rugby team, when I first started playing when I was 18, I was just taken in with open arms.
Yeah.
They take the piss. You know, people can say things differently now.
Yeah.
That, you know, say things then. And
but there's a difference in saying things that are meant in a... We've talked about before, like a stranger making a gay joke about at your expense is not funny, but a straight friend making it is fine. I think so. If straight people took the piss out of me being gay, I know in theory, and there's a lot of people out there be like, oh, you're still reinforcing this, whatever, but I don't mind. And I remember I put a funny meme on, I seen it and I posted it on my Facebook, like this straight guy, he didn't know I was gay. It was at the gym actually when I first went to, I think I mentioned this before, I might have mentioned the podcast, but when I first started going out to CrossFit in the Valley, this guy and we were teamed up to do a partner WOD together. And he's massive, like he's huge. And you had to pick a weight for dumbbell, and usually you'd pick a team member who would do the same weight as you. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to lift that, so I'm going to get a lighter one. He's like, just lift that when you poof. And I was like, no, I'll lift a lighter one and still just be gay. and and then he didn't realize, and it was like literally maybe 2 months later that somebody told him I was gay, and it just literally hit him. And he came up to, it was the Christmas night out for the CrossFit gym, and he came up and he said, "I am so sorry." I'm like, "Mate, you don't have to apologize. I forgot." And he spent the whole night, a little bit annoyingly, apologizing for the whole thing. Sweet, but he felt bad. And then after that, like we actually became quite good friends. So,
I mean, in that case, like I feel like you kind of maybe, I would say in my head maybe you should know better. However, different circumstances, different places, different countries and stuff.
yeah.
But I think what's really important is that he recognized that actually he could have offended someone and tried to sort of learn from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where some instances, people can be like, "Oh, you can't get offended by what is being said or something." But it's not about that. It's about trying to understand individuals and and being like empathetic towards how people might perceive things.
Yeah, and just to be 100% clear, I did school him in the error of his ways as well. And I just didn't do it at the time. I just waited because I didn't care. I was like, "You be you. I don't care." And then so he came up and apologized, and we became friendly. I was like, "This is wrong because this reason."
I think there's actually, I wanted to bring up two things, if that's okay, which are both examples, one of which is where someone maybe isn't shown that maybe they said things in the past, and we watched this Wendy Williams things the other day. We were speaking about Wendy Williams.
Yes.
And did you see the thing that she said about gays, a gay man wearing a dress?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She apologized yesterday.
She apologized for it, which really wasn't an apology. I will say that.
I didn't watch the apology.
But she's like, "I'm a friend. I said things. I'm trying to be funny.
Yeah.
People get upset." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." But we've spoken a lot about Israel Folau, right? Mm-hmm. And he's had a lot of issues with his comments, and then he's lost his contracts, and he was thinking about retiring. And then a team had picked him up, and we haven't spoken about it, although it did happen recently. The Catalan Dragons picked him up to play rugby league, which is a sport he played before he went to rugby union. Mm-hmm. And that's caused controversy. He's got a 1-year contract because no team basically wants to touch him because of the thing he says, whether they believe his story or not. So whether they support his or not, it is like whoever picked him up is going to get publicity, which I think a team, if you hadn't heard about the Catalan Dragons, now you probably have.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like they're stupid and they understand what they're doing. They're going for any publicity is good publicity kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But the Wigan Warriors is a rugby league team in the north of England, and they have a fixture with them on the 22nd of March. Mm-hmm. And they have then now made that game Pride's Day. So when he goes there, there's going to be rainbow flags everywhere. The whole team's going to be wearing rainbow laces.
I hope they kiss.
That's a separate reason. And I know that a bunch of people, I don't know if the Steelers are, but there's people within the rugby union, the sort of gay rugby union community who are going to go to that game as well.
Yeah.
But he's shown no growth or remorse or anything or any attempt to learn and try and understand, because he's so fixed in what he believes his religion says.
Yeah.
On the flip side to that, and this is where I think basketball is quite progressive, is I've spoken about my favourite player once before. He's called Dwayne Wade, and he's married to Gabrielle Union.
From
Bring It On.
Bring It On.
Yeah, great film. She's probably been in other stuff, but I don't.
It don't matter. I feel I know her in a horror film.
She's one of those people that are in things, but you're not exactly sure. Where she's sort of, but she's well known. She's very famous.
Mainly because of Bring It On.
Yeah, for sure.
And that face off of Kirsten Dunst.
It's such a good film.
I love it.
And he's I love him anyway, but since he's retired, he's been really, really open about things. So he has a child who's part of the LGBTQ plus community, and he has promoted that within his Instagram.
What age is the child?
12.
12. Did you say that? Sorry.
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
And he's made sure that his siblings do the same thing. So he's got an older child who is playing basketball and has his own Instagram called Zaire. And Zaire's posted on his Instagram about his support for his sibling, which is amazing. This is a 16-year-old supporting. Dwayne Wade always makes a point of saying, like, anytime an article says Dwayne Wade and his wife, he says she has a name, her name is Gabrielle Union, she's very much her own person. And he makes a point of being like, individuals, women's rights and this sort of stuff. This week, he was on Ellen DeGeneres and said that his child had come up to him and said that I would like to be identified as she and her, and can you call me Zaya instead of Zion, which was their original name, her original name, when she was born, and that she identifies as transgender. And for a parent to come out and say that on one of the biggest shows and be so supportive in, you know, he was very, very aggressive and masculine during his sport. You know, to come out and support his child and say, you know, now we need to learn. Now you are a champion. We want to reach out. They reached out to the cast of Pose.
Oh.
To find out what they can say, what they can do. And, you know, mistakes are going to be happening. You know, like misgendering and things like that sort of stuff. Are going to happen. But if you want to learn and progress, then that's the whole point. It's not about getting it right every single time. Because a lot of these things are new situations.
Mm-hmm.
But this is an example of someone who's within sport, who is not only accepting but advocating the needs to be a good parent and learn and accept those and let them be who they are. And then we said about an Instagram post where Zaya had basically said, you know, I don't want to live in a world where I can't be my authentic self, and I believe that everyone can. This is a 12-year-old. And obviously on Twitter, everyone was like, and we'd spoken about this before, you know, a child doesn't have the ability to decide these things.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to get into like the nitty and gritty, but I do believe that everybody should have the opportunity to identify themselves as who they are and who they want to be.
Yeah, I think before getting into the nitty and gritty, I mean, that first of all, that Instagram clip is so beautiful. This 12-year-old has their life together in more ways than I do as a 35-year-old guy. 34. So it was just so beautiful to watch.
Yeah. And it comes from the parenting.
Of course it does, yeah.
And it shows an instance of Aaron Hernandez, how that parenting can really affect you.
100%. I can't remember. I think I had 2 points to make, but now I've forgotten.
I'll just sip my drink.
Glug, 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 glug. I think the other thing I was going to say was, I going into the nitty gritty. I can't even remember what I was going to say.
Oh wow! I'm going.
Go for it, Matt.
I'm trying to learn a bit more about this as well, and kind of embrace like the reason why we can't record tomorrow. I don't think I said to you.
No, you said something on.
Yeah, so I'm going to, and this is a long one, and this is where I think people will hate it and stuff, I guess. But I'm going to an LGBTQ plus QTI POC dinner.
Oh, right.
So LGBTQ plus, you know, is lesbian, gay, what's the rest of it? Bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex plus
asexual.
Did I say A?
Yeah. Q.
Yeah. And then QTI is queer, trans, and intersex people of color. So it's like a, you know, the non-white version, basically. Dinner tomorrow, which I think is really interesting. It's
long-winded.
It is long-winded for sure. And, you know, there'll always be arguments for the idea, should they be like, it's like anything, you know, do we need this space and sort of stuff, you know, because
if there's enough people to have a space for, then you need the space. And
obviously I advocate it. We've not spoken about it, but I'd like to go and see what it's like, because I've never really exposed myself beyond actually gay men, to be fair. A lot of this, and I'd like to go and experience it and feel comfortable. I'm a bit nervous about it for sure. But you got to make food and you take it there.
Well, I mean, after today, you can make whatever you want, baby.
I'm making a carrot cake.
Oh, okay.
You can't eat that, obviously.
No.
Yeah. I love carrot cake.
It's good.
Yeah. But it's because I just want to learn more. I want to, you know, experience different things and also feel a bit more connected to other aspects of like queer society. Because I think we're all the same. We're not the same, pardon me. I think we can experience different things and support each other.
Yeah. I think that's like part of what you were saying about, what do you call his face? Australian one.
Israel Folau.
Yeah. Is the ability to look at oneself and say, do you know what, I can grow in this area.
Yes.
And that shows humanity. It's in order to understand life from other people's perspectives. I've said things, and looking at the person I was 10 years ago to the person I am now, it's all about growing up and learning new things, and you have to sort of embrace that. So yeah, that's life. And I love the fact that Gabrielle Union and her husband's child has come out. And I love that. So I remember watching the clip earlier in the week and just think that's beautiful.
It's incredible. It's honestly, I've already adored this man anyway, right?
Yeah. And
I tried to send him a message on Instagram before.
Did he not reply?
No.
Oh man.
I know. I was really upset, but I've been thinking about it for honestly like years, being like, oh, he's never going to respond. He never did. But I basically just written this long message being like, I just think it's incredible how you supported your child and how open you are about, because it came around Pride season and stuff as well. And I just wanted to say that, and as someone who is gay but loves sport, but also tries to embrace their femininity and everything, that sort of stuff. It's just a really great example of parenting and being black
And he responded, and he's now going to be on the show.
Imagine, I would literally. Those people. I'm not
sat here in your dining room.
There's very few people that I would lose my shit over. I would probably cry if I met him, even before all of this, but more so now.
Yeah.
Because I've always loved Dwayne Wade, how he played basketball, his accomplishments, and how he's been as a person from the interviews I've seen.
Yeah.
And then he's someone that I just revere massively. He's an idol. Honestly, for me, he is for sure. Yeah. And this is just doubling down. It's actually mad. But going back to Aaron Hernandez, imagine, so this is a few examples where parenting has such a huge influence, having the ability to express yourself and that support, and with Israel Folau, religion and the impact that has, because you feel like you can't open up in the situation. There were churchgoers that were speaking about it.
Yeah, he was really strong churchgoer, wasn't he? The family,
where you feel like, and not to say, and we don't know his situation, not to say that they all put that pressure on him, but it's more about, people are saying, why did Philip Schofield come out and it's not that big of a deal? Not why, but it's not that big of a deal. Why should it be celebrated? It's because everybody's individual journey and the pressure you put on yourself is huge.
Yeah.
You may or may not, it may or may not happen from external, but having it built up inside your own mind and constantly going over what will happen and how your life might be ruined based on you just trying to be yourself.
Live your truth, you
put that, you can put that on yourself as well,
I think 100% you do.
Yeah.
It's not, it is so much pressure from within. And I remember, and I still remember the feeling, I've said it 100 million times. I remember the second I came out to my mum and told her I was gay, I just felt like I could breathe for the first time. And that sounds so dramatic, but I felt such a weight off my shoulder, and I cried, and I cried, and I was crying because I don't have to cry anymore, because people know.
Honestly, I did that when I told my brother. He was like, I know. And I built it up so much in my head, he's like, I already knew. And then I just started crying because I couldn't stop, because I just felt this relief.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hugging it. And he was just like, what? It's not that deep. But to me it was, because I built it up. And then on the flip side, when I told my mum, it went so poorly, right? And we were out in public and she lost her shit. And all I could do was smile. And she's like, what are you fucking smiling for? We're on the tube. And I just, honestly, I was like, I'm sorry, mum. I'm not trying to smile. But I couldn't stop. I was genuinely happy, despite what was happening.
Well, that's it. Yeah, my mum, when I came up to my mum, it didn't go well either. But it was just, I still was so happy. I was just overwhelmed with this is it.
I finally said it.
The plaster's off.
Yeah, it was bad. And because I remember I was standing on the tube and I was like, she's looking back at me because she was walking ahead and she was like, what are you fucking saying this for? All this shit was awful, absolutely awful. And I was just like, I'm sorry, I'm not smiling, I promise.
Oh, well, you guys have the best relationship now.
Oh my god, we're going to see the Prince of Egypt next week.
Of course, Zara.
Yeah, we're going to see shows. I love my mum, and honestly, again, it's taken years and stuff, but my mum has made such an effort to learn and accept, and she had her beliefs and she grew up a certain way, and having a son who's openly gay has helped her come to terms and learn and understand, and that's what you want. Obviously things happen, but we spoke about it. We had an open conversation when I moved back home for those few months, and it was the most real conversation I'd ever had with my mum. And we were she told me exactly why she behaved the way she did. I told her exactly how I felt and how I never got over it. And it was just like this massive weight that just, honestly, just freed up everything in our relationship.
I always say, 100%, the basis of any good relationship is communication.
Absolutely.
100%. It's not... And everything else is built from that. You have to be able to communicate openly and freely with whoever you love or dislove or whatever.
And I think people misunderstand what communication is sometimes. It's not just about being able to express yourself. You need to have the ability to listen.
To listen, yeah.
And truly listen and be in the moment and actually consider certain things. Communicator isn't just talking. It's about actually being open to listening.
Yeah. So, going back to the Aaron Hernandez thing, one of the things you mentioned there about growing up as a kid, and this is what I think I was going to say, if I go into nitty gritty about Gabrielle Union's kid, is I was doing some research on the Aaron Hernandez thing, and one of the things we've not actually mentioned before is when he killed himself, they studied his brain, and it turned out that he had, is it ETC it's called?
CTE.
CTE. He had one of the worst cases of CTE for somebody his age. So he died at 27. He stopped playing at 23. For those who don't know, CTE is brain damage brought on by severe head trauma. Very, well, not common, but it's coming out more and more in some retired professional American footballers because they take on so much damage to their head. And in many other cases that it's been identified as, these people have also committed suicide. They know there's something wrong. They understand it. A lot of them kill themselves in the chest. So that, and I think there's two that I can bring to mind. There's two occasions where the person had shot himself in the chest and this other person had shot himself through the heart, and they had left this on the suicide note, please study my brain. And some of the side effects of this disease, or this, whatever it is.
They call it a brain disease.
Is it a disease? Yeah. Because it gets progressively worse even if you don't, even like for example, Aaron Hernandez, he stopped playing at 23, but they believe it still got worse up until he died.
And they think it would have been from when he was in his teenage years.
Yeah, when he started playing football at the age of 15. And
they think it's quite prevalent in, say, boxing, for example.
It is, yeah, it is.
Because that's like head trauma completely.
Head trauma, yeah. So some of the symptoms of this disease is irrational thinking. It's inability to control your temper. Pretty much everything that might lead somebody to kill somebody else. That being said, nobody else has gone down the route of killing anyone else.
Well, that we know of.
I also read that his alleged gay lover from prison had came out and said that Aaron had hinted that there was a fourth killer. He killed somebody else.
A fourth victim?
Fourth victim, sorry, yeah. And that would class him as, if it was 4 people, it classes him as a serial killer. If there's 4 people, I think that's what the US do. But anyway, so going back, that to me adds to why I felt sorry for him, because he had all this other shit going on. Meanwhile, his brain was deteriorating, and then he decided to kill himself. And I felt sorry for him at the end.
It's so difficult in these sports because it would change the game, and obviously, like rules, rugby, for example, have loads of rules about hitting below the chest and now waist and tackling. And American football had stopped because their tackles are stupid. They have no tackles, like they just go in. But they banned head first tackles because that's what people used to do before. They used to go in with their head underneath their chin on purpose and hit someone right here. So because that would literally like.
But I also was listening to something on a podcast this week where it said, this is an older guy, but he was saying how his dad now sits and watches American football, and he's like one of the, you're ruining the sport, doing this, doing that. Back in his day, they didn't even wear helmets. But back in his day, there was no real injuries, because once they decided to put helmets on, that is when they decided to use their head as a weapon.
Ugh.
But back before that, all they had was like maybe a leather cap or something like that. And there was no boom. Like you say, people literally go in head first. Now, like back then, they didn't do that because they didn't have that protection. They just played the game as it was. They still played whatever it was. But so that's a big thing. So even though they've gone down a route of trying to make it safer, it's actually made it worse.
For sure, because their technique is known that their technique is terrible. Whereas if you watch like rugby, for example, because you're exposed, no pads, the best tacklers have great technique. And that technique is really important.
Thank you very much.
I'm a terrible tackler.
The one thing I was good at was tackling.
Yeah.
I was really good at defending. I love tackling.
I do not.
I loved it.
Mine is because of my shoulders, to be fair. So I've still got that like innate fear of like my shoulder popping out. And because I used to dislocate them a lot, and they used to dislocate in games. I used
to picture myself like a little velociraptor, hunting across that field, grabbing the victim, jackling the ball.
So weird. Little hands.
So yeah, I mean, guys, I don't know if any of you have watched the Aaron Hernandez documentary, but let us know what you think. I still feel sorry for him. Do you still feel not sorry for him?
Yeah.
It's a tough one, and I also read in an article as well because I did some research on it as well. There's this article that I read, and they put forward both the cases of why people feel sorry for him and why people don't. And the majority of people, because you get to vote whether you feel sorry for him or not, and the majority of people don't. I think it was like 83% of people do not feel sorry for him, while 17% of people do.
Based on that one show?
Well, whoever goes in and votes in this thing. It's a live thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the show's quite good. It doesn't... I don't feel like it projects an angle.
It's unbiased, I think.
Yeah.
But I think, it's designed to make people have this conversation.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought it was really good. I didn't at the time. I remember watching and thinking, this is drawn out. But then I didn't know.
It was a bit disjointed.
It wasn't
very succinct in terms of
it jumped about.
Like plots or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I will say that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a story in like a way you'd expect.
Yeah. But I'm just shocked about how homophobic Netflix is.
What?
I'm shocked by how homophobic Netflix is.
Why?
Because you have these documentaries. Don't fuck with cats. Gay serial killer. Don't mess with my brain, Aaron Hernandez. Gay serial killer. So it's just like, I don't trust twinks. And I don't trust jocks.
That's why I don't put them on my accounts.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're not homophobic. Maybe they're just realising that if you're going to say that the gay should be celebrated, just remember, them bitches be created. And we know that.
Don't I always say, the killers are everywhere?
I wish I need to start writing down instances where the killer's alive, because it keeps happening in my real life where people tell me about stories and I'm like, literally in my head, I'm like, the killer.
The killer.
And I need to start recording these down because you'll love it.
I do.
I like the killer.
I love these stories. I love these stories. Did I mention to you? I don't know if I mentioned in the podcast. This guy was like, "Oh, meet me for a drink," and I'm like, "You could be the killer." I said, "Meet me for a drink is hardly going to kill you." He's like, "It could literally, you could stab me." I don't like these windows here. These big Matt in his living room or dining room has these big French doors which are beautiful in the summer, but when it's dark at night and you're in here watching a horror film, and it happened last week in the middle of this, some fucking fox ran past. Then came back, started looking in the window. I was freaking the fuck out. I was like...
You couldn't watch the TV, I saw.
Could you? I couldn't. I kept looking out. In my head, I kept looking out and seeing somebody stood in your back garden.
You would hate it yesterday, and it's completely unrelated, but I know that you hate it. We were playing the Switch, alright, and then Ben was right there, and just by the table of here was just... Honestly, this tarantula.
No. right where I'm sat.
Literally like here, and the bitch was moving around. Yeah. It was fucking big. Honestly, it was like 3 or 4 inches. Like, it was massive, and it was fat as well.
Oh, I feel sick.
Yeah. Actually, hate spiders. So please send in pictures and gifts.
Do not, guys. If there's one way to piss me off and make me automatically block you, defriend you, or whatever, it is to send me a picture of a spider. That being said, I did watch, like I said, Aliens, and I thought they look like spiders, the baby ones.
I don't remember what they look like.
There's a scene where the little girl's in the lab, and you think there's only one, and Sigourney Weaver's kicking ass. I must tell you actually before we go up, Sigourney Weaver's kicking ass, and there's a little girl in Aliens, the sequel, and the camera pans at her being all scared. Behind that girl crawling up over the side, it's just this alien. I'm like, oh my god, run, bitch! Oh, it fucking scares the shit out of me. But made me think. When I was this is before I even watched an alien film. When I was at uni at this time, I always have really vivid dreams. I won't say always. There's times where I have dreams where I can like remember every single detail. And I had one about Sigourney Weaver.
Just this week?
No, ages ago.
Oh.
And I'd never watched Aliens, but I'll tell you what it was. So in this dream, you know how dreams just start in the middle of nothing.
Yes.
In this dream, I'm running away from something. And I run through this door, and there's a big conference going on, round tables, people sitting down, sit down dinner, that type of thing. Big stage on the table, on big stage with a podium on it, up behind the tables. Who's there?
Sigourney Weaver.
No, Anne Robinson.
Oh!
Anne Robinson is on this podium asking people questions. It's like a quiz.
Almost like The Weakest Link.
Strange that, right? So she's up there and she's having this thing. And I'm like, in my head, I know I'm running away from something. But I want to stop and take part. But I can't. Because I love a quiz. We love quizzes. And I keep running on. And I think the answer to the question, I always remember the answer to the question, I think it was rhubarb and custard. I think that, I don't know why. That always, when I think of this story, it always comes into my head. So anyway, I run through the door at the other end of the hall, the door that I ran in, and I'm on my landing in my house. I've come like as if I've come out of the bathroom, and then I'm like, oh, well, my bedroom's down the other end of the hall, so I'll go down to my bedroom and then hide from whatever is chasing me. And I walk past my mum's door, and all of a sudden Sigourney Weaver swings from the ceiling, knocks me into my mum's room, and pins me down on the bed. And I'm like, fuck, bitch. Out of the back of her come tentacles, like black and green tentacles, and they pin me down. Like, she sat on my waist. I remember like bucking and like trying to get off, and she tentacly ties me down to the bed with two hands like this. And I can't remember what she's going to do, because I remember looking at my hand and like trying to get out, but there's a pen sat on my mum's bedside locker, and I grab the pen, and this is where it gets really accurate. I grab the pen like this, so I'm pinned down, so I don't have much movement in my hand, and I just grab the pen and I flick it like as much as I can with my wrist that's pinned down, and it lands in her neck. So Sigourney Weaver gets stabbed in the neck.
He like shoots it
like a dart.
Oh god!
And I managed to like kick my leg free, and I kick it into her throat, and the pen is like a see-through bic, like a thing. And this red and green liquid starts spiraling down the pen, the see-through plastic bit, and starts pouring out of the end of the pen all over me. And at this point, I start shaking, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I wake up shaking in my bed, like, oh my God.
Oh god!
The most traumatic thing. And it sticks with me.
Why Sigourney Weaver?
I have no idea.
Did you watch something you think?
Which you came out at the time. Do you remember she did that film? Was it Heartbreakers?
I would have no idea.
No, she and Jennifer Love Hewitt, I think.
Oh, yeah.
They're in a film together. It's called Heartbreakers, where they play a mother-daughter con. A brilliant film. Have you seen it?
I think it's something I would watch.
It's so good. Underrated.
I think I did see it.
Yeah, it's like a little rom-com.
Yeah, that's the kind of shit I like. If I'm gonna watch a film, it's something like that.
Well, we're gonna have a film night some night, because you've never seen Pretty Woman.
No.
Or Ghost.
I saw that like as a child.
You don't appreciate Ghost.
Yeah.
So we're going to watch Pretty Women, we're going to watch Ghost, we're going to watch Heartbreakers. We're going to have a movie night. Jordan's going to come round.
Why do you say Jordan needs to come around?
Because he was here when we talked about it. He said, oh, can we watch this? I think he said, can we watch a film?
Are you sure?
Yeah, it was the other night when we were all sat here.
I don't know if that's true.
Why do you not
after the podcast?
Why do you not like Jordan?
I mean, I've had my fill. Okay.
He's been around. Every message I get at the minute is about that podcast. I'm like, all right, calm down. No, guys, thank you very much for the continued support of that episode. Jordan, I think, still blown away. He messaged us yesterday, and we have a group going. He messaged us yesterday. It was good. Do you have anything else to say?
No.
No. I don't actually, but I will want to say one more thing. I do.
I have nothing more to say.
No,
apart from these people. Then I'm done.
Yeah. I have a long list of things. I have quite a few things, but we'll leave it. I want to talk about Jussie Smollett being back in the news. You don't know what that is, do you?
I know who Jussie Smollett is.
No, but you don't know why he's back in the news.
No, not a clue.
Well, I'll quickly do this one, because I thought it was... Because we talked about him before. And we talked about him twice before.
It's the same thing, pretty much, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we talked about it when it was just a hate crime.
Mm-hmm.
So for last year, for those who don't know or may not remember, last year Jussie Smollett, who's a gay black actor from Empire, last year he was charged with falsely reporting to the police in Chicago that he was drop kicked or something by some white people, who actually ended up being two black actors from the show. Yeah.
Can he pay them off to do the hate crime?
Yeah, he paid them to actually beat him up, because he posted pictures from hospital and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he's told the police he was attacked by two masked men whilst he was walking home from a Chicago subway. 2 a.m. in the morning, he was punched and he had chemicals poured in his face. The actors, or the two guys, said that apparently they taunted him with some homophobic and racial slurs. After they beat him up, tied a noose around his neck before fleeing. That was the alleged hate crime. I think Jussie Smollett still says it happened.
Wasn't he imprisoned?
No.
Oh.
No.
She'll never work again in this town.
Well, he also said that the attackers shouted, "This is MAGA country," which is "Make America Great Again." So yeah, he says it happened. The police were like, it didn't happen. So he was being charged with wasting police time. Apparently, the police say that. Well, he got off in the end. He went to court, and whatever happened, he got off. He had to pay £10,000 and serve 2 days community service. $10,000, which a lot of people say it's not enough. The police say that for the amount of time it took, so they accused him for he did all this to promote his career, and he was also dissatisfied with his salary.
Yeah.
So he wanted a better storyline and stuff on the show, and he brought this around to get more PR towards himself. Funny, which I can't remember the name of the American or South African anchor who Trevor Noah. He said, "Oh, Jussie Smollett or Black Pinocchio," and he also said, like, it's funny because Jussie did all this wanting a reoccurring storyline, and now he has it in real life. It's like quite funny.
I don't think Trevor Noah is funny.
I think he has his gems, but they're few.
On that show, it'd be like writers though. To be fair.
Yeah, and it's just his delivery, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, so police were sad that he got off scot-free. Whatever happened in the courtroom, the court let him off of it. He still says it happened, but whatever, he was never charged. So what's come about now is I think the police have brought in some special prosecutor, because I think they're still dissatisfied with it all, because they wasted hundreds of thousands on this, investigating.
Hundreds of thousands?
I think, yeah.
Hundreds?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why. I like to just do this. But I think they were suing him for over 100 grand.
Okay.
Yeah, of police wasted time. Because it was quite a big thing, and when you have an actor in the world where he's gay and black, it's like, we have to do all we can to make sure this, and it's politically driven, because he said it was the Trump thing, mad. So they were dissatisfied with the outcome. I think they brought in a special prosecutor to look into the thing, and obviously he's already been let go of certain charges, and I don't think you can charge somebody again if the courts find you innocent of certain charges.
It had to be some sort of appeal or something, I guess, not a
Yeah.
I don't know.
But this,
I don't know why I'm saying that. I have no idea.
we are experts in every field. If this podcast promotes anything, it's how.
I mean, I've watched every episode of The Good Wife. I'll tell you this now.
I watched Ally McBeal.
I never watched that. We're different ages.
Yeah. So they found 6 new things that they can charge Jussie Smollett with.
One should be his hair.
Well,
it's too curly.
Well, I seen him with a shaved head. I didn't recognize him at first,
joking.
and then I was like, "Oh, you're hot." But then, but yeah, so 6 new charges. So he's back in court at some point. And this is it. I think what Wendy Williams says in the show is his jail sentence started when he got caught. Like, allegedly, we all believe that he did it. But he'll never work again.
No, there's no way.
He's destroyed.
Even if he didn't do whatever it is, then like his just reputation, isn't it?
Yeah.
He'll need a situation like Israel Folau.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's not as bad as Israel Folau, I guess.
No, but a situation where someone just needs publicity, so they'll put him on.
Oh, our show's failing, but we have money. Let's.
Yeah.
But then with the Israel Folau thing, and with this, I would if I was fans, I'd be like, I'm not going to support this team anymore if they can't respect my LGBT family. I think they've messed up.
I think many people would do that for sure.
Yeah.
I think many people won't know.
But the other thing I wanted to talk about was, do you know this thing called Patreon?
I don't. No. I keep forgetting every week. Literally keep forgetting.
Well, if you were to guess what Patreon is, what would you say it is?
I think it's got to do with a Pokemon. So Eevee evolves into Umbreon.
Yeah.
Jolteon.
Yeah.
Flareon.
Oh.
Patreon.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of like that, but she only has 3 steps.
Okay.
And you can evolve from being basic to being bougie to being daddy.
Nice. Well done. They evolve at level 15, level 27, and level 65, which is in 2 episodes.
Yeah. So Patreon is there. It's linked. It's a great way to support us, guys. We are sitting here. I mean, it is a nice setup we have right here. And if we were in a studio, we'd never get food before it.
We could order food though.
We could. We'd be plush.
You could pay for our meals. I had to buy bacon on discount. And use the yellow label.
And then
I didn't. I bought a nice one for you,
Do you know what? I tasted how salty it was, and I thought this is good bacon.
It wasn't salty. Because I didn't use the smoked one. I got unsmoked.
That might be leftover from last night.
What, the salty?
The salt.
Is that a weird joke?
Never mind. Guys, anyway, yeah, go sign up for Patreon. We would appreciate it. And yeah, thanks continue for the ongoing support. That doesn't make any sense. Thanks again for the continued ongoing support. And I'm going to check out right now.
Have a lovely week, Ashley.
Have a lovely week, Matt. Have a great week, listeners.
Bye.
Bye.